This module is one of the most important contributors to your success. I would highly recommend you complete the module on having the end in mind first to understand the basics at a big picture level. Or imagine you're looking over a country in Google Maps. If you get the big picture wrong, you won't understand why this module is important. And now I'm about to go into the details of planning for the Google Street View essentially. Now this exercise takes time, but it contributes towards the majority of your success later on in the year, so do not underestimate or skip over this module. Now first, I would like to explain how study has been done by the majority of students, which is inefficient. Now let's talk through high school first. Our students will go to school, listen to the teacher's lesson, and learn a concept or two. You'll then be given homework to reinforce these concepts. They might refer you to a textbook or some diagrams or some videos, and then you're relying on the teacher to spoon feed you everything. Now how would you know if they've covered everything you need to know? Now teachers are still humans, and inevitably there would be differences in the teaching quality. And for example, the speed of how they can get the concepts across, and how receptive you are with their style of teaching. Now what I told you, there's a much more effective way that you could study, and you don't have to rely on your teachers so much. Now similarly, this applies to university lectures and the quality of teaching done by lecturers. Now you have to understand, although a lot of teachers are great, but it is ultimately your responsibility to make sure that you have learned everything you need and be ready to get into that exam. So the million-dollar question comes, so how do you know if you have covered everything? Now, even better than your teachers or lecturers even. Now you're probably hanging off the edge of your seat right now, but if you have gone through having the end in mind, you might have some idea already. Now you see, most examinations, including high school, ATAR, IGCSE, AS level, A-level, GRE, SAT in the US, etc., and even all university units need to be standardized and reviewed by an examination committee to ensure that the difficulty of the exam is justified each year, and to review the content of the syllabus and make sure that's relevant. Almost 100% of the questions must come from the syllabus, and this is the end that I'm referring to. Now, if you know the whole syllabus, you know what the questions can come out in the exam. And let me repeat that again. If you know the whole syllabus, you know what questions can come up in the exam. And this is exactly what you need to do in your planning stage before the start of the term or each semester. Now this process is done just once a year or once per semester when you have different units or papers. Now take an example for IGCSE, for example, what I grew up with when I was in high school. So going back to our trusty Google IGCSE biology, for example, syllabus. The first that comes up is the Cambridge IGCSE biology. So this is the International General Certificate of Secondary Education, year 10 equivalent in Australia, year 11 equivalent in New Zealand where I come from. Down here you can see the introduction for the IGCSE biology, what resources, and down here this is the gem that you're looking for. You're looking for the syllabus. For example, now it's 2019. If you were to study in 2019, this is what you're going to click into. So if you click into that, so a PDF would load up. So this is the syllabus for 2019, for example, Cambridge IGCSE for biology. There would be one for chemistry, one for physics, for example. Every one of the subjects that you take, you go and find the syllabus. And what you need to look for is there's a lot of stuff that you don't need to worry about. Why choose this syllabus? For example, you don't need to worry about that. Go to syllabus overview. The aims are quite too generic, obviously. You can skip over this as well. What you need to do is go into content. This is where the gem is. So this outlines all the topics that you need to know. There are 21 of them, so including reproduction, inheritance, human influences on ecosystems, and further down under each of these topics, they will break it down even further. This is how the assessment is. So this is what you need to know. So for the first topic, it goes down 1.1, characteristics of living organisms, and exactly what you need to know. And if some of them even defines what you need to know. Movement as an action by an organism or part of an organism causing a change of position or place. So some of it's got partially done notes here for you already. Also, if you have a read, it will have the core and supplement. If you want to do well, you need to know both of them. For example, it explains up further. And so for the first section, it's got 1.1, 1.2, what you need to know, 1.3, what you need to know. So essentially, if you get the keyers, your study notes would need to be titled the same. So basically what you need to do is copy and paste all of these into either a Word document or an Excel document, and basically just make notes and diagrams underneath, and make sure that you are able to answer questions or explain the concepts that are highlighted in exactly how this is. So number 2, organization of the organism, so you need to state that the cytoplasm of all cell contains the structures, etc, etc. So you need to understand all of these in order to do well. And there is although the list looks long, for example with IGCSE, you've got the whole year essentially to make notes and digest all of these. These are only the topics that you need to know, and anything outside of these, they technically cannot examine you. This is where you are able to reconcile with what your teachers are teaching as well, whether they have gone off track, whether they have missed anything. This is where you can come back and go, alright, there are gaps in knowledge, and this is where I need to fill it. So essentially you need to make notes according to this. And I just want to show you what I've done in the past as well. So this is back in 2009, as you can see, which is my A-level Cambridge examination for biology. So I've broken it down to, back then it was these topics. For each of these, for example, crop plants, I'd have pasted in the learning objective that is detailed in the syllabus, and basically make notes and put diagrams and make sure that I understand the concepts. And basically I've covered most of these, and it would be the same for energy, respiration, ATP, for example, gene technology, for example, inherited change, for example, photosynthesis, for example, similar. Copy in the learning objective and then make appropriate notes and put in diagrams as appropriate. This is how I got good results in high school and in university, and I hope this is helpful for you as well. And also, after a brief search for those who are in Australia as well, there are ones for example, ATAR Biology in Australia. There's the Year 12 and the Year 11 syllabus here as well. If you click on it, for example, the Year 11, if you go down to content, there will be the unit, again similar to the one that I've shown you in IGCSE, which is the Cambridge one in the UK, and there's the unit 2, and if you go down, it will give you the title. So if you go down to the unit itself, it's got the learning outcomes. So this is the unit content. Basically here you can see with biodiversity, it outlines all the things that you need to know about biodiversity. Here is another unit, single cells to multicellular organisms, the hierarchical structure, and you make notes underneath. Plants, gases exchanged via the stomata. So some of it is partially notes that they've already made for you, but some that you need to elaborate yourself and understand each point and apply them. Same for Year 12, it's got Unit 3, Unit 4, and also if you read the document detailedly, it assumes you know the knowledge from Year 11 as well, so things can overlap and come up as well. And this is for ATAR. And by knowing these learning objectives, this correlates the best towards your final grades, and it is the ultimate hack, and I cannot make it easier for you. So if you put in effort to know about 50% of these, statistically you would get probably about 50%, and if you put in the effort to know about 80% of these and you can apply them, then you will likely get around the 80% mark. So all you need to do is just copy and paste these in an Excel and Word and make notes underneath them. And it's your job to make sure you understand most of these headings. I recommend you to paste them in Excel mainly, as in the modules to come, in examination preparation and memorization techniques, I'll cover more about how to actually commit these to memory effectively. efficiently so that you don't have to spend time going through everything you know again and again and wasting time. So the above is the same for higher year levels all the way up to university. It's the same principle that I use in pharmacy and in medicine, allowing me to get top 10% of the cohort while maintaining a good study-life balance. And I hope this module has been useful for you, and I look forward to see you in the next one.